All right, welcome everybody to the pre-Thanksgiving edition of Football Focus Weekly, State Quarterfinals. I'm the Pep Man, Matt Morrow. Tonight we're going to be talking about what happened last week in round 3 because we didn't do Friday Night Live. We're going to do our special Thanksgiving segment we do every year. What are we thankful for? And then we'll get into the state quarterfinal previews. We'll be talking about 4 games tonight. Of course, the big one between Independence at Butler. We'll talk about Grimsley at Weddington. We'll talk about Forest Hills at Shelby. And then we'll talk about Dudley at Crest. And then we'll finish up with Slime Time. There'll be no Friday Night Fowler on the show tonight. He has a basketball gig doing some announcing up in the 336 area. So we will save his rankings for next week, which he already told me. He will bring extra juice when he's back on the show next week. So sit back and relax and enjoy the pre-Thanksgiving edition of Football Focus Weekly with your favorite Football Focus Weekly friends. Be right back.
Well, rule number 1, for as long as I have been able to drive a car, I'm getting pretty old, has been never pass a Bojangles without stopping to get something to eat.
I'm slamming the adult league referee.
God, oh.
Well, dang, I mean, y'all just took my slime, because I was going to slime Coach Dillon. Because let me tell y'all about this cat.
Well, I think I got to go with slamming who's ever running these stupid robo-dollars and group callers.
You know, I neglected to do something that I wore this purposely, but this is the new CFI hoodie. We have gray hoodies. We have black hoodies. I have a white hoodie, but we didn't have a signature blue hoodie. Now, this color's been called a lot of things, but it's called Sapphire. So you see the logo is slightly different, but the outline, and we have the blue Sapphire hoodie. So everyone that is regularly on the show, including those guys right there, have their own custom CFI hoodie waiting for them in the car.
Well, I came on tonight, Pep. I figured it's about time to get that hoodie. I better make an appearance.
You didn't take a month like PTO. So, it's all good, man. It's all good. Kenneth, the Engine McClamrock, welcome back. How you doing?
I'm well, man. How are you guys?
We're great.
We're great.
Glad to be here. And then Coach Dub, Robert Washington. Welcome.
Yep. Yes, sir. Hey, happy holidays to everybody.
Absolutely, man. Let's do it now. Why not? I mean, with some more people will probably come later, but we'll do it now. All right. So because it is Thanksgiving, every year I do the Thanksgiving show, I always talk about what I'm thankful for. So I want to ask you guys first, and then I'll go last. What are you thankful for this year around Thanksgiving? Whoever wants to go first.
You know, Pep, I'm grateful that at least one night a week, while Football Focus Weekly is live on Wednesdays, that I can watch the Hornets play. Valley Sports shuts me off every other night of the year. But on Wednesdays, I know behind Matt, the Pet Man Morrow's back is going to be the Hornets on Valley. So I'm thankful for that. It looks like it's a close first quarter.
I think they're down by 1 right now. I meant to send you my dang on app password. I will send you. Well, now the thing is, now the app is acting funny, so half the time it don't work either. So, 24-21. All right, they're down by 3, but that's Brandon Miller right there, man. Look at that,
Making plays.
yeah, rookie look good, man. You're looking good. I'm sorry. Anyway, Coach Dub, what are you thankful for this season?
I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for God. Most importantly, I'm thankful for God allowing me to be here and wake up in the morning, but also being able to serve Him and serve His do His work in His ministry. So I'm thankful just to be here. I didn't have anything deep, but that's just it.
No, it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be. I usually talk about the origin, CFI, and all that stuff. There's a few people watching. If you want to share while you're thankful this holiday season, you can share, and we'll post it up, and we'll let everybody know. But for me, as I do in my annual tradition, I'm thankful for the opportunity to have Charlotte Football Insiders. First off, as I've said before, and I haven't said it in a while, so I always take this time to kind of share why this is what it is. And many of you know I was with Carolina Varsity and Dale Ross for several years before CFI started, and I had a desire to kind of grow and do things. And sometimes, some people have different visions, just like in business. And I had a different vision for what high school football coverage could be. And that's why Charlotte Football Insiders got started in March of 2019. And, I brought some great people with me. Of course, the producer, Brandon, who will be on in a little bit, and Cherie. Glenn, the queen. And you see her in the intro because I always, give her credit, because without her, this thing wouldn't have happened. There's no way without her support and her willingness to go along with any crazy thing that I wanted to do. Like, I haven't ran it in a while, but we used to go out and film on location. We filmed before games. We filmed the studio show in the library. We used to go to Freedom Park and film shows, and she was always down for that. So I had some great people, to start this thing with, and it's grown. We grew into doing camps. Of course, I shared that recently when me and Coach Dub were talking about that and how that got started. And then doing the live show in this format when technology advanced to where we could do it instead of having to record in person. That's greatly made things a lot more efficient. But I'm thankful for, the guys that do this with me, because there's not a lot of money in this. The way we do camps, we don't charge a lot of money like some people do. Some people run it as a, business to kind of further their lifestyle, or it's their main business. So they do a lot more in terms of charging more and things like that. But these guys take this time out every week to be on here, and they don't get compensated for it. They do it because of the passion they have for high school football and the passion they have for kids. So I'm really thankful That's not my music, but I'm really thankful for these guys that do this with me. I've been through a lot personally, and I am really thankful for my wife now. When I started this, she was not here. And I went through some challenging times, and this business, believe it or not, helped get me through those challenging times. When you can have a passion you can throw yourself into, and it brings you through all of the other stuff that's hard to deal with in life, it is a true blessing. So I am really thankful for all of that, for sure. We got a couple comments. Let's see what we got here. Well, okay, nice. Jerron's family, thank you. Jada Connect, fellas. All right. Well, I guess ain't nobody thankful for nothing. So, oh, we got a surprise here. He said he wasn't gonna break the juju. Well, let's see if it breaks the juju.
No, it ain't breaking no juju. I heard y'all talking about hoodies, man. I gotta make gotta make sure I get my hoodie, man. I had a lot of free time today, so I was able to get some rest, man.
Oh, big ass Shelby.
I was able to get some rest, man. Happy to see you guys, man. I hopped on. It said Eagles 5-1. I said, dang, I've been gone for 3-4 weeks. I think the last time I was on was the Butler week, I believe.
Okay.
The Panthers were 0-1 the last time I was on, so you guys. That was when life was good. We were only 0-1 back then.
Big guy, you want to share anything you're thankful for?
I'm thankful to still be alive, man. I know being a 27-year-old kid, a lot of kids don't make it to see this age, man. So I'm thankful that God wakes me up every morning, man. I'm thankful to have still be able to have both my parents in my life, both living and being very healthy, man. I'm thankful to be able to be at Independence, and we practicing on Thanksgiving, man. I know in the coaching world, that's football coaching world, that's always a place and position you want to be in to practice on Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for where I'm from, man. I can never thank Shelby enough, just the community, just the school, and the coaches that helped me get to where I'm at today. But yeah, man, I'm thankful for you guys as well, CFI family, man. I know a lot of doors is open for me. I know a lot of people see things from the kids' standpoint with the camps, but they don't see how it helps a lot of coaches and people that work the camps and put them in positions to meet certain people and just to be in certain rooms and certain conversations. So, yeah, I'm thankful for all of those things.
It's awesome, man. Well said. Well said. Speaking of you guys and Butler, Travis Wayne Watson has a comment and says he's thinking about going to Butler Independence. Knows the game's going to be slammed, but it's good to see those two school rivals back and big as it used to be. And have a happy Thanksgiving. Always love watch. Thank you, Travis. Hope you have a good
Travis, I think it'll be a good game, Travis. I may be there myself. I think it'll be a good game, man.
Get there early.
Yeah, man. We try get there early, man. Game's gonna be at Butler. Me personally, just being able to be a part of the rivalry now, hearing about how the games and when it got big to this magnitude would be played at places like Memorial. I was wishing that those. I mean, it was a great atmosphere for our kids to play Miller Creek that first week there. Yeah. So I thought this game would be even bigger if we were able to play it at Memorial. But powers that be, want to keep it at Butler. I understand it. From their standpoint, you want to keep their gate. You earned your home field advantage. Yeah, understand that. There's nothing against that. History shows in the past, whenever Independence was a dominant team in the state, arguably the nation, they always moved the game. So, I know our kids felt great just to being able to go down there and play in Memorial Stadium, no matter who it was against. I think that's a great experience for any kid in Charlotte. But it's going to be a great game, rivalry game, Thanksgiving weekend, man. Thanksgiving weekend, man. I mean, where else would you want to do, man, to get to play your rival school on Thanksgiving weekend? All the alumni can come back, old coaches, old players, all things like that of that nature, man. So, yeah, this is going to be great. Be a great game, Travis. Good dogfight.
Yeah, that's well said. I'll tell you the thing with Memorial now, man. It's I know back in the day it used to cost a certain cost to have a game down there. And the frustrating thing about it is everyone sees the potential of what it could be. But the powers that, run Memorial, they're not gonna change their policy, and that makes it really difficult for high schools to play there unless it's a sponsored event, which is what we've kind of mentioned before. Like the game you guys played in the opening season was sponsored by I think a couple different sponsors.
Yeah,
they always do that opening game down there. And then it costs even more now because they redid the stadium and you got to have more people to host the parking and all that stuff. So,
me, if I was in one of those positions of power at Memorial, man, I think you could have got away with a doubleheader, man. You could have got a doubleheader on a Friday night. You probably could have did Butler, Indy at night, Grimsley, Weddington before that. I mean, if you want to talk about being for the kids and being for the schools, you could have split all that money 4 ways. That probably would have been just as big as anything.
I think that's a great idea. The problem is the amount of time and logistics that go into planning something like that. Yeah. When you have the playoff brackets, you don't know if you're going to get that opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's really hard to pull that together so quickly. Yeah. But at the same time, if you have people down there that are willing to, supplement the financials somehow, I think it's possible. I think it's possible, but it is what it is, man. Either way, I know there was some talk. I saw, I've been reading Facebook. I saw all the conversation and everything. Having a game in a packed out high school stadium is, I think, a heck of an experience still.
Yeah, I think it is, but it's based off how your school is structured. You know what I'm saying? Like Butler's not structured to. Well, a lot of schools ain't structured to have where the standing room is still standing room without you actually possibly being on the track or near the players. You know what I mean? So it's one of those where like it feels the way you can gate it in. People could be on the track. I know a lot of stadiums are structured differently. Yeah. It feels the way to structure it like at Shelby. At Shelby, people still sit on the hill. You can sit on the hill at Shelby and Crest and Burns and Keith Mount, stuff like that. You can sit on the hill and you can rope it off where part of the track where the players and coaches are still in a comfortable, safe environment. I think if there's a way to do that, yeah. But, it's one of those where, we don't have a stadium in Cleveland County where you can go play at like a Memorial. It ain't, or the Sportsplex in Matthews. It ain't different areas where you can move the game and still get that big rivalry feel and still have a pack it out and be safe.
Yeah.
But having it at Butler or having it at Independence or even another school in Charlotte, I think that would have been great. But you still have to make sure that for the magnitude of the game, that the coaches and players are still in a safe environment, even the fans, because, the game is going to be super packed out. It's going to be bigger than what it was 3 weeks ago.
Absolutely. Because and just because number one, there's bigger stakes. Number one, and then number two, it's a lot less options. The only other game in town is at Weddington.
Yeah, and that's not even considered Charlotte. So it's the only game in Charlotte.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna talk about it more here in a minute. But right now, let's go to what happened last week because we didn't do CFI After Dark. So kind of get everybody's thoughts on what happened. So Weddington, of course, knocked off Charlotte Catholic big, 37-7. Were you guys surprised at that margin of score?
I was surprised at the margin of score just because of how. It's late in the third round. You got two great teams, Weddington and Charlotte Catholic. That just lets you know playoff football is just different. You're up different. Not saying Charlotte Catholic is not. Charlotte Catholic is a tough out. They're a tough out. So that lets you know what type of defensive game plan, the type of defense that Weddington have to be able to win a margin of victory by 30 against a team like Charlotte Catholic.
Yeah, it seemed like Weddington's kind of corrected themselves after that Marvin Ridge loss to end the season. And that was really good to see. Something we didn't mention last week, and that's totally my fault. But Providence Day went down to Raven Gap and got some revenge and won the state championship out of the NCISAA 34-27 in a comeback victory. And that's Coach Chad Greer's third state championship in a row. So congratulations to those guys. A lot of talented players that have been together for a while coming together for the third time to win a state championship is awesome to see. What do you guys think about, Providence Day going and getting it done, man?
Congratulations to them.
I'm glad that the North Carolina championship is in North Carolina. I mean, it's tough playing against a boarding school in Georgia. I'll keep my personal views to myself, but I'm just glad Providence State was able to win that game and put the championship where it needs to stay. In the state, North Carolina State Championship for high school need to be in North Carolina. So,
absolutely.
Shout out to them.
I say congratulations to those guys, man. Shout out to Jordan Schiff and Gordon Sellers. Congratulations on winning the state championship. I know that's big to go out. It's hard to beat a good team twice.
Yeah, it is.
Beat a good team twice.
Yep.
So congratulations to those players and those coaches.
Absolutely. Coach Marsh, good to see you, man. Hey, you want to come on and talk about what happened at Chris? Let me know, man. I'll send you.
Ain't no need, man.
Yeah, I'm asking if he wants to come on and talk about what happened, man. It's a heck of a football game.
It was a heck of a football game, man.
Yeah, we're going to get to it here in a second. So, Forest Hills in the rematch against Community School of Davidson. Big time, 48-21. I was a little surprised to see that, but it seems like Forest Hills is peaking at the right time.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised to see that score. I didn't think it would be that big of a margin of difference in score. Thought it'd be a lot closer. I actually had Community School of Davidson winning that, but
yeah, I remember. Yeah,
I watched that game. I watched both games, and it looked like Forest Hill corrected a lot of like holes that they had from game one. So Community School of Davidson kind of went in. They're going to be who they are, but it looked like Forest Hills made more of the adjustments from what I saw.
Yeah, I wasn't too surprised. Not of the score, just about who you play, how you prepare up until that moment when playoffs come. I think the teams that I think in two-way, it's a lot to do with who you played up until this point, because it's not as many two-way teams in the state to play. Well, I think it's more two-way teams in the state to play than versus like those 3A and 4A matchups. Even with 1A, like it's hard to get a lot of 1A matchups that you really want to see, maybe because of distance. So you got to play the people that's closest to you. So, Forest Hills are able to play a team like Monroe, and Monroe plays a lot of 3A and 4A non-conference scheduled teams. So I think Forest Hills is more battle-tested, just different time of the year. I think strength of schedule really plays a part in 1A, 2A, because you want to try to stack the deck early, because your conference and people that you may play may not be as tough as the teams that you will see in playoffs. So you want to be able to see some of those matchups. Now, I'm not sure who Forest Hills played in non-conference, but I know Community School of Davidson probably don't play a team that's equal to a Monroe.
They played each other in non-conference.
Yeah, they played each other.
Yeah.
So, you're playing somebody twice, and it's like I said, it's hard to beat a tough team twice. But as far as being that role that Forest Hills had, probably versus the role CSD had, probably played a factor in that game.
And cuz I want to add this too, because you bring up a great point. CSD's in a 1A, 2A conference, which is in our conference. And most of the teams, there's only two 2A schools, them and Pine Lake in that conference. So you bring up a great point where is schools like Community School of Davidson and Pine Lake battle tested playing against all 1A schools for conference versus a Forest Hills that's playing 2A, 3A particular school. So that's a good point.
Because even with Shelby, that's the reason why Shelby scheduled the non-conference schedule the way they do now, because of their conference, because you playing a Crest, a Kings Mountain, AC Reynolds, and Olympic, based off 3A, 4A, you're more prone to be battle tested because you're going to see an East Gaston and you're going to see it burn. So you got 6 games on your schedule, or 5 or 6. You got half your schedule against good opponents. So that kind of outweighs those you playing Thomas Jefferson or Cherville or in schools like that. So that in Bessemer City, those games get outweighed because they're able to play the 3As and the 4As, and Burns being a great 2A team in East Gaston as well.
Well, see, I'm looking at Forest Hills conference, and looks like they're in a 2A, 3A conference, and that's a big difference. And also like a Shelby or something. I'm not going to give you East Gaston; they was good for 1 year, but for the most part, they're going to play other schools in that conference that's pretty good. But you look at I think they're in the Rocky River Conference. They play Monroe, Anson, West Stanley, Parkwood, Piedmont, versus Community School of Davidson being in a 1A, 2A conference. Yeah. So that makes sense because that's a good point.
Mm-hmm. All right. So then Hickory, now this was a little surprising. Hickory, now we know they're really good on offense, but 61-38 over AC Reynolds after what AC Reynolds did to Kings Mountain the week before. So that was interesting. I think Hickory's a bit stronger than maybe a lot of us thought previously.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really paid attention to Hickory too much this season, but I do see they are rolling. I believe they're still undefeated, right?
Yes,
I think Hickory is still undefeated. I was surprised. Mm-hmm. I'm not surprised that Hickory won the game. I am surprised that they scored 61. I've never really heard of AC Reynolds giving up 61.
Yeah,
I know AC Reynolds. This team they had this year compared to last year, they lost a lot of players to graduation, mainly on defense. That defense was very stout and very dominant last year. I know they missed their running back, Max Guest, a lot of the season. So I know he was able to
I think he played in that game.
Yeah. I know he missed him early in the year. Yeah. So that gave opportunities to other people. I know he came back. So that team fought a lot and came through. I knew personally from playing them and knowing those guys, I knew they weren't going to be as good as last year. Still a great or well-coached team, great team. They just ran into a Hickory team that's on the mission right now.
Absolutely.
Now with this Hickory score, I was surprised as well. But you look at a team that scored 61 points against a team that Kings Mountain couldn't score a point on. That's how I was real surprised because AC Reynolds, the question and what I went into thinking that AC Reynolds defense was really that good, but 61 points was definitely a shocker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kings Mountain is just offensively that was their downfall. That's been their downfall. That's been Kings Mountain's downfall probably pretty much since 2019 when they had every year they've had us. I mean, I don't know what their numbers are as far as defensively, like points per game, yards, and procedures like that. But I know since 2019, Kings Mountain has had some of the best defenses in the state. I don't want just pure dominance.
And because I don't want to, because I know you talk about certain schools that become hot topic, but just as a football fan, not even as a coach, or you know what, better yet, as a coach, how do you have that much talent on defense and you're not being able to put something together on offense? Because it's not like they're playing.
Well, I mean, we can talk about Kings Mountain for a long time.
Yeah.
But
I'm about to say,
they're out of the playoffs.
The situation at Kings Mountain is a little touchy right now. So it's probably
At Hickory, at the end of the day, Hickory's got an extremely good coach in Joe Glass. They have an extremely good offensive coordinator, Mike Natoli, and they have who was unknown at the end of the year, maybe one of the top quarterbacks in the state.
Mm-hmm.
You got those three things. I mean, they're averaging 47 points a game.
Mm-hmm. They're 13 all year. To think about Hickory and think about Hickory, they're in the area where they're able to win and be low key about it. They've just been winning, low key, handling their business, staying out the way, and they just.
I'm going to throw a bunch of stuff on social media. He's not that kind of coach.
Yep, they just been rolling.
Love him. The kids love playing for him. I coached against him. I saw how infectious he was with his kids, how his kids were like magnetized by him, and they bought in. I mean, he was a 10-game winner at J.M. Robinson. He's won at multiple places, and he's found a magic switch. That quarterback that can throw in Mike Natoli's offense. They throw the ball all over the place, man. I mean,
yes.
we scrimmage. Pep used to come to all of our 7-on-7s.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, God, dog, man, you just had 5 crossers on the same play. How did that happen? It was mind-blowing. They're a good football team. They've got a tough time. I think they're going to Bunker Hill maybe this week. No, they're going to.
Hickory's 3A. I can't remember who they play.
I'll let you know.
West Henderson.
West Henderson.
Yeah. I think Hickory is doing what East Lincoln did last year. They was winning, staying low key, handling their business. Then when people got to see them, they was like, "Wow!" And I think that's what Hickory's doing right now.
Good stuff, man. Little surprise for me, but I know this team is really good. Bunker Hill knocked off Monroe 24-23.
Yep, from what I'm hearing, I think Monroe's best player got hurt early.
That Jordan Young.
I think he got hurt early, but it's still a testament to Bunker Hill being able to score, be able to get stops, because Monroe was a great football team. So
yeah,
but in playoffs, like I tell people all the time, man, that next man up comes true in playoffs.
What's so special to me about that Bunker Hill victory, and Coach W, you can talk about this, man, is they were 10-0 in the regular season, something they've never done before. They win, they're 11-0, something they've never done before. 12-0.
Yeah.
And
I've never heard, like, because when I was in school,
North Carolina.
Yeah, because whenever I was in school, I'd call it what it is. Bunker Hill wasn't looked at as a great football school.
No.
Like, only time we used to go to Bunker Hill for 2A was track.
I mean, these kids are winning big games, and they're not used to winning big games. Their coach has them believing that they can beat the world. And by golly, they showed it last week.
Yeah,
man.
I don't even think their stadium is set up for football. I think they only got one side of the stands. So that lets you – I think last time I went there, they only had one side. They got a nice track, though. Amazing track.
We've stopped there and practiced over the years going to playoff games. Bunker Hill, they were in the playoffs. We were able to stop and get us a walkthrough there, man. But what a 13-0, man. Incredible.
Yeah, they're going up to Reedsville, and it's a tough place to win, as a lot of teams know.
Yeah, I won there pretty convincingly when I played, but it's a little different.
So Dudley defeated J.M. Robinson last week, 50-28. J.M. Robinson was leading this game early in the second half, but Dudley was able to turn it on, and Andrew Atmore, quarterback, had another stellar performance. What do you guys think about that one?
Quarterback award winner, the HBCU showcase.
Yeah. I think from what I was hearing, I think Dudley was not Dudley, but Robinson was winning the game maybe at one point.
Yeah, early third quarter.
28-21. Then they were like, Dudley just went on a tear.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of lets you know. See, like that lets you know how high power that offense is if you're able to just pick up and just go for 30 points like that. So that lets you also know how good Robinson's team and defense was to hold them and be able to have a lead in this game, but just kind of lose it in a matter of seconds. So that lets you know two things about both teams. But great year, J.M. Robinson, though. I don't think a lot of people expected them to make it that far. Because they're another team. They fly under the radar. They don't do too much talking. They just go out and play.
You must not have listened to me talk about it in preseason then.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I will say, if anybody advocated for J.M. Robinson, for sure, was Kenneth McClambrough.
Let's see. A couple comments here. Wunkler says Robinson only scored 14 points. He scored once in garbage time and one off a turnover. Well, if they led 28-21,
those points count.
Yeah, when was that?
They was winning. I seen something where I know they was winning.
I know. I saw
the game with like they won. I think somebody tried to be funny and say it was 6 or 7 minutes left in the game. Now, I don't know.
Those touchdowns didn't count. They were rushing touchdowns. They didn't throw it.
Oh, now Walkler says it was 21-20. Okay.
So 21-20.
All right. We know they led it.
So 30 straight.
Okay. Tony Stone says Bunker Hill has great skilled players on offense and defense, plus great line play. Well, when you got those things, you usually have a pretty good football team.
Good combination there.
That's real strong right there. Thank you for watching, Tony. If you want to share some of those guys, please share some of those guys so we can share their names out there. All right. But I was hoping producer would be here because he was here last week. But Butler, another dominant victory over Mount Tabor, 49-13 as they continue to roll throughout the playoffs. I don't know what else you can say, but other than they're just clicking on both sides of the football. Complementary football defense feeding the offense and vice versa. They just look really, really efficient right now. And they dismantled the Mount Tabor team that was coming in after they beat West Forsyth, and they just took them out of whatever they wanted to do, man. I know at some point there was a running clock in that game too, so that's really impressive in the third round of the state playoffs. I know we're going to talk more about Butler here in a second. Let's see. And then Independence. Of course, the big win over Watauga. I watched some of that on the NFHS network because I didn't go out last week. The most impressive thing to me was, of course, Independence in the way they were able to control the line of scrimmage, really getting behind and running the football with Jaden Jones. They looked really good. And, the biggest thing is when you can do that to a team, that it's not a lot of answers. You can try to put more people in the box, but if you can't win a line of scrimmage, then it is what it is. So, Big Eye, you want to share anything else about that win?
Yeah, man, that was a great week. We had a great week of preparation, man. Pretty tricky, though, because Watauga does a lot of tricky formations, onside kicks, and all type of different looks on offense to keep you up at night. We just challenging our kids, man. 48 minutes. Give us everything you got for 48 minutes. We understand that. We let them understand that play the next play. They do so much on offense where we may have a few miscues, but don't just play the next play, line up. They score, line up. They try to block the field goal. They scored the first series of the game, and then we pretty much went on a run. Then they scored late in the game. But shouts out to our defense, man. Shout out to the offense. We're clicking on all centers right now. We've just been preaching physicality. I do want to give a shout out to RJ Nightingale. He stepped up for us big, being able to put his hand down for us and being able to hit that dive all night. So, man, yeah, a lot of people did things well. True testament of us being disciplined on defense. Because against a team like Watauga, if you're not disciplined, and teams like Watauga can beat you. If 10 people do their job but one person don't, against a team like Watauga, like have they shown them play all season in their 2 first round and the 2 playoff games, the first, second round, it can bust at any moment. So Watauga, I would say Watauga has one of the most beautifulest football stadiums I've seen. And backdrop. It was beautiful up there, man. The referee, not the referee, but the police officer told me we got lucky because of the weather. Because apparently when Hickory Ridge went up there, they said it was brick. Second half was super cold.
Yeah.
Last week was super cold when Mallard Creek went. So when we got up there, it felt great. It was amazing. Great fans, great team. Shout out to Watauga, well-coached team. It is a great environment for football, man. Very beautiful place up there in Boone.
Good stuff, man. Producer will bring him on. Sir.
Good evening, fellas. Got here just in time to hear about caught the end of that victory speech. That was nice. It's cool, man.
Just in time. One more thing, Pep. Also, we got shout out to our special team unit that's headed by Coach Barnes. Coach Dale Barnes, man, the best special team coordinator in the nation, man. He did a great job with our guys preparing them for the onside kicks. Our punter and kicker, Lyric, he flipped the field, man, put a bunch of kicks in the end zone. So right now, man, we clicking on all 3 phases, man. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Coach Barnes for that.
Oh, absolutely. Good stuff, man.
That's what we like to hear.
Producer, talk about Butler Mount Tabor last week. I just shared the score, but what was your thoughts on that
one? Butler's just, they're not a one-sided team. They're definitely not one of those teams that leans on one side of the ball and kind of gets by on the other. No, they also, I'll say, are as a team clicking on all cylinders. Defense does their part. Offense does their part. They're both neither side is carrying the other. They play with a lot of energy. they're not phased by a team scoring on them first. And Mount Tabor is a good team. It was just impressive to watch them literally dominate a good team. And that just shows kind of where they are. Zach Lawrence is a really good quarterback. He's a leader. You can tell. They play with a lot of energy. You can definitely see that. They keep the energy going. He had, I think I tweeted it out, he had a rare mistake through an interception in the red zone that I know, someone like him will learn from, but they're peaking at the right moment, I should say. You can see that from their energy and kind of where they are. They're unfazed by mistakes. Like, they don't dwell on them. Some teams, a mistake, a pick six, and they're just down in the dumps. They're fussing at each other on the sideline. No, none of that. So they're just to simplify it, a great team playing great football, which is what you want at this time of the year.
All right, good stuff, man. Great breakdown. All right, a big game that I know some people on here want to talk about. Shelby, big over Salisbury. This is a close game at halftime. Was tied at 7, but Shelby came out second half, played really well, won 38-21.
Hey, Pep, I'm going to get this out the way. I was wrong on the score. I think someone picked them Shelby to win by 2 touchdowns, and I thought it'd be a little closer.
I could have told you that, man.
But hey, you know what? We get them wrong at times. But I was just looking at just the matchups and from a schematic standpoint. But some of the things that we don't put into the equation is being battle tested. Like for all the things you mentioned earlier, is Shelby's battle tested. You've been saying that all year. Those tough losses early, when you get tough losses like that, you're going to do one or two things. You're going to learn from them, or you're not going to learn from them. You're going to continue making those mistakes. And it looks like Shelby's learned from those mistakes. So shout out to Shelby.
I expected this. It's playoff football. Shelby gears up different. We give up different. We as an alumni, former coach, former player. It's just different when it comes to playoffs, man. First half probably a little shaky. Probably some miscues, some mental errors. Remember, we're still kids. Probably had some mental errors. I'm sure when Coach Wilbanks got us settled at halftime. That's what you're going to see, man. I see Tristan Tate carry the ball over, I think, 20, 30 times, over 150, 60-something rushing yards. Isaiah Bridges, 2 touchdowns. It's just one of those where, man, you want to beat Shelby, it's going to have to be a 4-quarter game, man. The only team I think can give Shelby a little fit or give them a game is going to be Reedsville. So I think both programs know that. I think both programs will continue to roll convincingly until next week when they see each other. And that East still can go they can be one-sided for Shelby next week when they play Reedsville.
Wow. So they're gonna take care of Forest Hills, huh?
It's just a culture thing with Shelby, man. They just
culture thing. I'm just
it's embedded in there.
And it's even better now that those guys, shout out to those guys. I'm gonna come to practice tomorrow night. It's Thanksgiving practice at Shelby High, man, Thursday night. Man, black lines, the grass changed. The grass changed when people think we painted it gold. It's just
turning brown.
People play at home in front of your home crowd on Thanksgiving weekend, man. It's just different, man. I don't think Forest Hill, they're not gonna come out here and give a fight, but I think just Shelby is just gonna Cleveland County football is different when it comes to football.
All right, there it is. And then the big one, I won't say the big one, but the most, dramatic game. Crest with the comeback victory over West Charlotte in overtime, 30-29. So I asked Coach Morris, did he want to, come on, but he posted a essay to share. So he says, we played really well the first 3 quarters in 2 minutes. They're up 22-6 and just got a pick with 20 seconds left in the third to the Crest 25-yard line. But then they threw a pick back on the next play. And then Crest quarterback threw a bomb. That's Javarius Green, number 6. 2-point conversion. Their receiver literally took the ball out of their DB's hands to make it 22-15. Long story short, it was tied at 22, 4th and 2 at the Crest 4-yard line. Chose to kick the field goal, got blocked. We got the ball first in overtime. We scored, and it ran out of space there, but we know how it ended. They got up by 7, 29-22 in overtime. Then Crest scored, and then they made the big time call to go for 2, and then Husky found his receiver on the drag route going over the middle, and then Crest won the game 30-29. Coach Marsh also adding that Crest did a good job of rolling the quarterback out of the pocket because they couldn't block us up front.
I mean, they've been doing that all year. I mean, I don't think that's no secret to that's what Crest does. I mean, if I call a spade, man, I think Cleveland County is West Charlotte's kryptonite. Last 2 years, in the last 3 years, the team that put them out came from Cleveland County. 2 years it was Crest. 2 years it was Kings Mountain. Now it's Crest. I mean, I think it's one of those where, it's a good, well-fought game. I think, like I told people, West Charlotte is athletic enough to match up with Crest. West Charlotte got a lot of speed, especially on defense, a lot of good players, and they can match up with Crest, and it was a game like this. I'm not surprised just because of the matchups. I know West Charlotte D-line, like Coach say, they D-line is good, and I think Crest O-line is young. They've been getting by all year. They've been doing a good job of keeping people off. Tater Husky, letting him roll out, let him run, do things like that. But, West Charlotte was they're a great defensive team. Mm-hmm. They always be in the game because they how good their defense is. So I wasn't surprised. To even the 2-point conversion they caught, it was inches.
Just over the goal line.
It was great ball placement by Tater. It was good defense, better offense. It was just one-on-one matchup. I mean, the kid from West Charlotte was still there. It was just the ball was just put only where number 2 Adams could get it. So it was a good, well-fought game.
Absolutely. And another rematch from last season, another really good football game. Grimsley was able to defeat Huff 42-35. There's been video of more critical calls that have been out there that went against Huff. 2 in particular, one a goal line touchdown that was called where the runner seemed to be very short at the goal line. And then there was a fumble by Grimsley that was not called a fumble, that seemed to be a clear fumble. So it's really tough. It's really tough to kind of go on the road against a really good team and then have things, not go your way in some of those critical calls that, can, be the difference in a very close game like this. But what are you guys' thoughts on this one?
I've talked to a couple of officials who actually – or wing officials, they're the line judge or the head linesman there on that line of scrimmage, and showing them the video, and they both said, those goal line runs up the middle sometimes can be so tough to tell from their vantage. They've got wide receivers in front of them, they've got tight ends and tackles and defensive linemen in front of them. That's an extremely hard call to make in the moment. It looked short, but I'm not gonna lie. I rewatched it 7, 8, 9 times to see if it was really short, because I wasn't sure that it was short. Tough break for Huff.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Hey, what down was that? What down did that happen?
Now that's the other thing. I was told that was second down when that happened.
Yeah, I think they were. That was a good stuff by Huff. They were like 2 or 3 from obviously watching it, being able to know where he got hit. I think he was about 2 yards short, 2 or 3 yards short. To call it a touchdown. Now we could have spotted the ball right at the 1 on the inch-yard line. They probably would have got in, but on that play, I think that was good stuff. That was good stuff right there, man. Defensively, so it's tough to go out like that, but like you say, man, referees ain't always made the perfect call. I think we got to get instant replay in high school, man. I think that's gonna have to be something to be talked about because a lot of teams have huddle sideline. We can pull it up and you can watch.
Well, and something. You also got 48 minutes. Because, I'm a coach and I understand, but you also got 48 minutes to play the game.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's look at some comments. I'll do a quick summary before we finish up this little segment here. So, Jason McNeely, of course, Shelby fan said, I told y'all 2 touchdowns for the win. Yeah, he did say that. He did say that. No Face says, can't wait to see the Grimsley Independence rematch next round. All right. Thank you, No Face, for watching. Derek Howell says it's an expectation for Shelby to practice on Thanksgiving. If they don't practice on Thanksgiving, it's a disappointing season.
Very true. Very true.
All right. And then Jeff Kuno Ross also says practice is mandatory.
Yep, Thanksgiving practice is mandatory, man. Where else would you want to be in Cleveland County but practicing on Thanksgiving?
Jason McNeely also says Shelby over Forest Hills by 17.
Hey, Jason, I'm gonna be at practice tomorrow. I need me a bowl of dumplings.
A bowl of dumplings. Okay.
Oh boy. Wunkler says, Big Eye, are you surprised West Charlotte scored 29?
Yes, I am. Very surprised. Yes, no not to the coaches, but I am very surprised that West Charlotte scoring 29 against an undefeated team like Crest. I will say that. But again, West Charlotte is very athletic and fast, so I can see why they were able to give Crest some fits. Shout out to them.
You're like Jim Harbaugh, man. Do you respect Ryan Day?
I'm laughing at Joe Hughes right here. He says Webb has 4 stops to make tomorrow, 7 plate minimum.
I mean, to be honest, Joe, I bet you probably eat more than me. To be honest, man, I ain't gonna lie to you. You and that. What he be wearing, Coach Doug? That toboggan fitted hat.
That boggin. I'm wearing a boggin
with the brim.
Yeah, with the brim. This boggin season, baby. Shout out to Joe.
But I was surprised that West Charlotte had they scored 29, though. I am not gonna lie. I was surprised.
Okay. Joe, if you want to comment on this, but this one shocked me. Greenville beating Northwestern in South Carolina playoffs 42-41. Northwestern had dominated all season long. I know that Greenville program is well coached and they have a lot of talent down there, but that was a big time shock. Northwestern scored late and they decided to go for 2 in a similar fashion that Crest did, but they were not able to convert that 2-point conversion and their season's over. So,
dang, shout out to Turbo, man.
Turbo had a great
definitely in the Camp Hall of Fame for sure.
Turbo,
yep, he's in there with what's his name from?
Hey, watch this guy.
Yeah, Trey Nichols.
Him and Trey are definitely Camp Hall of Famers, man.
Yes,
you gotta have Will Brown in there, Pep.
Yep.
I ain't seen Will in a while.
If Will done got Hollywood, man, Will going.
I know. I know. They ain't going it. Anyway.
hey, Pep, is Northwestern, who do Joe be calling Janky?
He called Nation Ford, and I think York, maybe.
Definitely Nation's Ford. Every time they come up, they janky.
He also say they
South Flores ended the Cinderella run of Lancaster 42-22, but shout out to Lancaster for making a nice run. They had 1 win in the regular season, then made the 3rd round of the playoffs. North Rowan, that's Friday Night Fowler's team, defeated Mountain Heritage 48-39. Hold on now. What's wrong, Joe? Why you get injured? I know I've been out for several reasons, but hang on, man.
That was too tight. Joe be wearing them hats that Neo used to wear back in the day, man.
Oh, God. All right.
Start wearing them boot cuts and be able to get up and run, man. You ain't won't get hit again. Get some straight legs. Get you some straight leg, Joe. Straight leg.
All right. Well, that was fun. So now we're gonna go to our round 4 preview. And
real quick on that screen right there. I mentioned this to y'all. I'm gonna give a shout out to Lancaster. They won 1 game in the regular season and made it to the 3rd round. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Shout out to them. And as a coaching staff, you gotta feel great, man. Let you know how hard our conference is.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe they can carry that momentum in the next season, man. But that's unheard of to to win 2 playoff games after winning only one. They won more games in the playoffs than they did in the regular season. Unheard of, man. They caught some fire.
I mean, it's great. It's great to have that kind of momentum for sure.
Going into next season, your season ended now, but maybe you can take that in the next season.
Why we got straight bullets being thrown at East Rowan in the comment?
Oh, the latest one. Let me see.
Straight bullets.
Go North Rowan from Ram. Would love to see them win it. I work with some of their coaches. We support each other, each in this county, unless your name is East Rowan.
East is struggling right now, man. You can't be.
Yeah, I remember playing North Rowan when they was undefeated. I remember playing North Rowan. They was undefeated my senior year, and I quote, I had an article said, "I don't think they ever been hit like this before. I knew they'd lay down." So just be careful who you run up against. North Rowan. You gotta act like you've been here before, man.
Maybe there's a little beef between
don't beat people while they're down, man.
Inter-Rowan schools.
Don't beat them while they're down, man.
They're a rough couple of.
All right. So anyway, we're going to talk about 4 state quarterfinal games here. Of course, we're going to start with the biggest one of them all, Butler hosting Independence. You see the records on the screen on the season. We talked earlier in the show about the game being played at Butler and not being played at Memorial Stadium. But let's talk about on the football field. Producer, last time you were at this game, what were your thoughts from that last matchup?
I think it started off really competitive. You got 2 great teams. Independence just had a couple mistakes, like on special teams and on defense early on, that they never quite, they were kind of trying to dig themselves out of a hole. But I think they did, they moved the ball well. They just got to, patch up those mistakes. And definitely you could tell, Independence is a great team along with Butler. And, if they bring a mistake-free A game, Independence didn't play their best. And I'm sure they would agree there. They didn't play their best and made some mistakes that I'm sure they've patched up since then. So I think it was clear. It was 2 great teams. And I kind of felt that then. I said, Independence patches up these mistakes. I can remember thinking this, we're going to get a rematch of this. And here we are. So 2 great teams, it was a rematch, so we'll see.
Yeah, well, that's good stuff, man. From what I can remember from that game, just reading the different things about it and seeing the different film. I know the back from Butler, Mr. Williams, had a great game, not only running, but catching the ball out of the backfield. So that's going to be a big factor for sure. The efficiency of Zach Lawrence, you mentioned last week that he threw an interception for the first time in a long time. I know in that game he threw, I think he had 4 touchdown passes, I believe.
Yeah, and not only was interception, it was a pick 6. Now they were up big, so it didn't really impact the game. But you do that at the wrong moment against the wrong team, it could prove more costly than it was. So yeah, he definitely, he's not a habitual interception thrower by any means.
So when you get to these rematch situations, and I'll talk to you guys as head coaches, Coach Dub and Engine, when you play a team the second time around, what are the things that you're kind of really focusing on to make sure that, you have a better outcome if you lost the game? And then if you won the game, how do you keep your kids centered and grounded and focused to make sure you go out there and win a second time?
Well, I'll say this: if you win it, you get kind of paranoid a little bit. Just a small part of you get paranoid because it's certain things that probably went right for you in the game. It just depends on the score. But it's always tough to play a team twice, especially if you lose. Or going back to if you win, trying to keep those kids not to look at them and take them for granted because it might have been a couple plays that went your way. But if you lost, it's easier playing with house money, man. Because you lost to them before, you can go back and look at some of the stuff that you did wrong and kind of fix those holes or whatever the case may be. But I think the advantage always goes to the team that lost because they don't have anything to lose going into it.
Yeah, I think it's easier to talk to your kids if you lost the first time because you show them the film and you show them 3-4 plays. Guys, we were 2 plays away. If we fix this 3rd and 1, if the safety doesn't get out of position, if his eyes aren't peeking in the backfield, then we stop them. If we convert on this 4th and short late in the 4th quarter, we get the first down and we're going to drive and we're going to score the game-winning touchdown. You know, you're playing with house money, coach said. The hard part as the winning coach is you don't know what to change because what you did earlier in the year worked. And so you're saying, well, hey, do we come in with the same game plan? Do we run the same personnel grouping on offense? Do we run the same defensive front? Do we want to come back to that pressure that we showed on defense because it worked the first time? And so you're less likely to show something new because you know that what you did worked the first time. That's tough. It's tough to overcome. It's tough to be creative. It's tough to convince your kids that that team is better than when you played them the first time, or you were only 2 or 3 plays away from maybe being on the losing side of it. I think, Coach said it's much tougher being on the winning side going into a rematch than it is the losing side.
All right. It's good stuff. That's great insight right there. And then, of course, the key players, for Independence, they've had different guys kind of step up throughout this playoff run, which has been all on the road, of course. Of course, the big name has been the running back, Jaden Jones, who's having an incredible sophomore season. But I kind of want to highlight the offensive line because every time we have, skilled players, that do really well, the offensive line doesn't get mentioned as, kind of the driving force behind all of that success. But we all know that's the most important thing. I mean, if you don't have that, these skilled guys aren't going to get their name out there. So, I think that offensive line has really kind of come together and been the driving force behind what they're doing offensively. Of course, Justin Little at quarterback is still a really special talent. And I think now this is a game where I think the passing game for Independence is going to, step up big time. And I think it's weird. He came into the season with a lot of fanfare, a lot of love, and a lot of people were arguing between him and Zach Lawrence, who is the best junior quarterback in Charlotte. And now Zach's had a great season, and Butler's got a lot of accolades. They won the conference. But, for Justin Little, I think this is an opportunity for him to step up and say, hey, remember me? I'm pretty dang on good too. So I think there are going to be some opportunities, especially with the success Jones is having in the running game, to make plays on the outside. And if Independence can step up and make those plays, and there's probably going to be some one-on-one looks on the outside against Butler secondary, that could be a big difference, in what I think is going to be a really close football game. Anybody else want something? Big Eye, you don't have to say anything.
No, it's fine. I better say, since we were the team that lost last time, Butler's a very well coached team, offensively and defensively. They got a lot of good players, a lot of good talent on that team. Like you said, looking back, we was able to watch film. We all agreed as an Independence football team that we gotta coach better and we gotta play better. So everybody held themselves accountable. We came in that next day, watched the tape, put it behind us, and we've been on the run. We've been on a good playoff run ever since. I know a lot of people didn't think we would make it back this far to get this matchup. So our kids are happy. Our coaching staff is we're happy. But understand this, I see people trying to talk about it. For one thing, 2 things for certain, don't think this is a Cinderella. We expected to be here. That was our goal. That was our goal in the beginning of the season, even the summer. Last year, senior class made it to the 3rd round. They made history. First time being in the 3rd round in X amount of years. This senior class trying to lead their legacy, their imprint. Made it to the 4th round. We expected to be here. We worked to be here. We trained to be here. We coached to be here. It's great, like Coach McFadden alluded to. Just like old times, Independence versus Butler in the Final Four. Things used to be. Now this group of kids get to write their name in the history books of being a part of one of the biggest games in the state. So, if you want to be the team like Butler, you got to minimize your mistakes in all 3 phases of the game. Games like this where coaching staffs are familiar with each other on both sides. Coach McFadden was at Butler at one point, so him and Coach Hale have a great working relationship. Things like this, man, your kids got to play. your kids got to play. It's going to be about. I don't think it's about a lot of X's and O's at times. It's about if your kid's going to play better than my kid. Right? It's too well. Like I said, a lot of these kids grew up together, play 7-on-7 with each other. Maybe went to school with each other in elementary school, possibly middle school. Some kids went this way, some kids went that way. It's a lot of good individual matchups. A lot like how we say, it's a lot of money to be made out there on Friday night. So whoever flinches first, whoever's not the most physical team, whoever turns the ball over, that's the one who's gonna win or lose this game. So we can't wait, man. It's great atmosphere going over to Butler again. We're gonna be ready to go. We're gonna be ready to go. We realize defensively. I know I coach defense, so we know defensively the things we could have got better at and worked on, and we took that personal as a coaching staff and as a team. So this game around, can't wait for everybody to come out and watch another historic showdown.
Well said, man. Very good. A couple comments. Coach Marsh says the big matchup is the Butler front seven versus Independence's O-line and Jones. I definitely agree with that.
Last time we played them, we were missing a key piece on the O-line. So I think we have everybody back ready to go. And and then that's gonna be the matchup. Which team can stop each other's run game? In the playoff football, you want to win, you gotta be able to run the ball.
Absolutely. Coach Dean checking in says Coach Rank will have that defense ready. All right. And Tony Stone, our friend, once again says, I think Independence peaked last week, Butler by 14. All right, Tony Stone. There you go. Well, it's going to be a big game. I'm sure, producer, you going there again, I assume, right?
Yeah, that's what it's looking like, man. I can't miss the rematch, man. I can't miss the rematch.
I am probable to attend this game in person. The first time in like 5 weeks.
That's you progressing, man. You went from doubtful to questionable to probable. You just be off the injury report in 1 more week. That's cool.
That's the goal, because that's the showcase next week. I can't be on the injury report then. All right, anyway.
I'll leave that alone.
Our second game that we're going to look at is Forest Hills going down to Shelby. The 12-1 Yellow Jackets, off of their big win last week with Community School of Davidson. I think both of these teams are playing at their best at this point of the season. Forest Hills putting up 48 points against Community School, and then Shelby putting up 38 over Salisbury, like we just talked about. Thoughts on Forest Hills and Shelby?
You know what? It looks like a roller coaster for Shelby, because you go 1 week at the number 23 seed, typically doesn't play at home this late in the playoffs. I think everybody agree to that. But they're playing the 25 seed in Forest Hill. I think because I see a lot of stuff about, Shelby's going to blow out Forest Hills. I don't think Shelby plays well. They play better as underdogs from what I see, like people picking against them or whatnot. But having that roller coaster of going down to Salisbury and have to play and then coming back home. So it's really rare that 23 seed gets the home seed, but I'll take Shelby in this one.
Well, those aren't those are max preps, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I should have used bracket.
But they did play at Salisbury, right?
Yeah.
Last week. Okay.
Yeah.
I believe last time this happened for us was, I want to say 2014, maybe. I think it was 2014. They had beat somebody, then they got to come back at home and play against Mount Pleasant, I believe, to go to the state championship, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, man, I think Shelby wins convincingly in this one, man. I know we played each other last year at Forest Hill, the rematch. So I know those kids that want to get their face back at Forest Hill. However, I think Shelby just rolled. I mean, their mindset is different at this point in the year. Mindset is different. A lot of teams wish to be there. A lot of teams expect to be there. So it's a little different once you get into playoffs.
All right. Well, Forest Hills, they have some legitimate talent. Brady Hibbert at quarterback. They have a couple of really good receivers. They have Smith, who has a couple of good offers. I think he's committed to a school. And they have Jarrell Boulder on the outside. Christian Washington's a Queen City Senior Bowl selection. Really dynamic in the return game. And then Caden Smith at linebacker. So those are some of the guys to watch for Forest Hills. And of course, Shelby, we know the guys that, they have. We talked about them all season. Isaiah Bridges is on a tear at receiver right now, putting up some incredible numbers. And then Land Farmer had a really good game at quarterback last week as well.
And also last year when we played them, we beat them without our two best players, and Isaiah Bridges and Tristan Tate. And those two have been on a tremendous tear this season. So, so I could put that in perspective a little bit. Not having your two best players last year and winning convincingly how we did.
All right, well said. Joe with a couple notes. As you just said, Isaiah wasn't part of that game last year. He thinks he's on a different mission. And then Tristan Tate rushed for almost 200 last week at Salisbury. So Derek Howell says Shelby's playing at home. Shelby will win. All right. Succinct statement right there. All right, good stuff.
Straight to the point.
Grimsley, undefeated on the season, taking on the number 1 seed with 2 losses. Crazy, I know, but Weddington is hosting Grimsley. This is a playoff rematch of a game last year that was very close. Grimsley was able to pull it out at home. I believe it was 28-27. There was some controversy in that game as well. Imagine that. But thoughts on Grimsley and Weddington?
I think a lot of people are happy that Grimsley has to play outside of Greensboro this year.
Yes.
I think they have played, I think the last 2 years they haven't played a road playoff game. If I'm not mistaken,
I think that's correct.
Like that, maybe 2 or 3 years because they won the championship in COVID in 2020. And I know they won last year in 22. So I think this is like one of their first road playoff games in a while. So, so that'd be a good matchup. That'd be good to see how Grimsley do. But Grimsley is they loaded, man. They're very talented on both sides of the ball. They can beat you passing and they can beat you running. I know West is a very well-coached team. This is not a game where two teams that's not expecting to be here. Like Wellington always expect to be here playing for state championship, being in this moment. So both teams, both coaching staffs are good. They're going to be ready to go. I don't think this is going to be one of those games, like I say, can't turn the ball over, can't flinch.
I think it has potential to be high scoring. We know Grimsley's defense, kind of bend but don't break has been their kind of deal over the past couple of years. But their offense is, like you said, very talented. The quarterback, Faison Brandon, very talented sophomore, D1 offers. They have 2 D1 receivers on the outside. It makes it very difficult to try to play those receivers and give them the respect they deserve while continuing to try to stop the run with Mitchell Summers, a CFI running back, top 5 player, came to the summer showcase. Very shifty, quick, electric with the football in his hands. He's just smaller. He's like 5'7". He should have offers still. He's that dang on good. But then, of course, Weddington with Tyler Budge and Keenan Jackson on offense, they have their own firepower on that side of the football. Then, of course, defensively with all the different guys, including Aiden Harris on that defensive line, he's going to have to be a big key factor in trying to slow down that run game so Weddington can apply the force they need to shut down those 2 receivers on the outside for Grimsley. So I think that's going to be a fun game to watch. Going to be a lot of points, a lot of fireworks, but it's tough to beat Weddington at Weddington. So Lunkler says Grimsley has not been on the road since 2018. That's a long time. So we'll see how they do on the road.
That's a crazy stat.
Yeah, it is. Cameron Hatchell, I hope you're still here because you asked Dudley versus Crest. That is the final game we're going to discuss. I know Wes Henderson Hickory's on the screen. I will share this comment. Harry Lackey says Hickory will run West Henderson out of the stadium running and passing. Wow. All right. I mean, I can't argue with that based on what we've seen so far.
West Henderson's only given up 10 points a game.
Ooh.
Something got to give.
Right.
Something got to give.
Isn't West Henderson in the mountains? Are they in the mountains?
Yeah, they're in Asheville. We played there in 2014 in the second round of the playoffs.
You gotta come down that mountain.
Ugliest color scheme ever.
What is it?
It is. Well, it's blue and red, but the way they paint their field, every line is a different color. Every number is a different color. It's outlined in another color. Oh, it was awful. The game where we're beating them pretty good, and we had thrown a couple of balls into the end zone in the fourth quarter that were incomplete. So I just said, screw it. We're going to run the ball, and we're going to run the game out. And some knucklehead behind me kept yelling, "Hey, coach, what are you doing? Pass the ball." And by the 15th time he did it, what are you doing? I turned around and said, "I'm trying to win a freaking game, you idiot." My assistant coach said, "Coach, you can't call our fans freaking idiots." Like one. What are we doing? Getting ready to win. Go to the third round.
Kind of funny, man. You funny, man.
We were going to do a segment about stuff like that, but
we actually stopped at Bunker Hill for a walkthrough. No, that one we stopped at Christ School. I'll take that back. That was beautiful.
No.
Beautiful facilities there.
Oh, yeah. All right. Dudley, undefeated. Crest, undefeated. Both teams have played well, obviously, all season long. Dudley with the big victory over J.M. Robinson, and then Crest winning in overtime over West Charlotte. Thoughts, Dudley and Crest?
I think this will be a great game, man. If you want to see some speed, man, come to this game. It's funny. I've been seeing on the high school football talk page, people think that Dudley can't run with Crest, and Dudley has
what?
And people been dumb enough to say Dudley can't run with Crest.
Bro, they got a state championship. They're the 3A state champion track.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy. But I think Crest is gonna be up for this game. They've been ready for both teams, both fan bases are going back and forth. Dudley is very traditional program, Crest is a traditional program. I think this is a matchup people been wanting to see for a while because Dudley's been dominating 3A the last couple of years, and Crest has always been a team you got to beat if you want to go win the 3A state championship. So you finally get to see this matchup with these two teams. Crest get it at home, which is a plus. It's gonna be great, man. Well, I'm anxious to see. I think Crest defense has to be better if they want to beat Dudley. Crest defense has to be better. Dudley's offense, and with Coach Antonio Hall, man, is one of the best in the state. Crest defense has to be able to get stops. You don't want to turn this into a track meet. I know fans want to see a bunch of points being scored. I know they want to see that, but Crest, you can't let this turn into a trap meet. If I'm Dudley, I'm trying to take care of business early and take the life out of the stadium. However, Crest has shown you just because they're down late that they're going to stop playing. They're going to keep playing. Both their seniors. Crest is led by their seniors. Those guys want to chase perfection, undefeated season. I don't think they haven't did that since 2015, I believe. So they're chasing that. It'll be a great game, man. But like I said, if you don't see a lot of speed, man, it's gonna be a good game, man. And it's gonna be, I think this is one of those weeks where up front, Dudley is very big. Dudley's very big.
Joe's got that right here, he says.
Okay, yeah. Dudley's very big up front. I think this is gonna be Crest's first test of another test of true trench work, like how it was against Gaffney and last week versus West Charlotte, with two teams just very physical and big in the trenches. Like Dudley's very big up front, so I think that's going to be able to. I'm interested to see how that game's going to go.
Absolutely, that's good points right there. Our friend Tony Stone with more analysis says Chris will need to score 42 points to win.
And they're very capable of scoring 42. So,
all right. Anyone else on Dudley and Chris?
I think y'all pretty much took my thunder. I was going to talk about the line play. I think it's going to come down to what we're not talking about a lot of that you see. We obviously know both teams are athletic. They're both speedy, but who can win the trenches? And I mean that's cliche, but it's going to come down to trench work.
All right.
You got a great matchup of quarterbacks, man. Great matchup of quarterbacks. Yeah, it's gonna be a good game, man. Good game.
Yeah, Andrew Atmore has been lights out. Yeah, all playoff season. It's been lights out, man. This game is not on NFHS Network, so if you want to see it, you're gonna have to go. Crest does not
Cleveland
stream
County.
their games.
Yeah, Cleveland County doesn't have NFHS.
Oh, the whole county. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Kings Mountain has their own broadcasting thing that they pay for. So with through YouTube, but nobody else. It may be on KTC broadcasting. If anybody did want to watch, it possibly can be on KTC broadcasting.
Okay. Good deal. All right. Those are our game previews. Before we go to slime time, Travis, our friend, has another comment for you, Kenneth. He says, Kenneth, I remember that year in 2014 when y'all made a third round because we beat y'all at home the last game of the
worst loss I've ever experienced as a head coach. We got beat on senior night. I tried to tell them what I wanted senior night. Coach W, you understand this. I told them what I wanted senior night to look like. They said, Coach, that's not how we do senior night here. I said, well, that's how it needs to be done. And, I told you got 15 minutes, man, and we got to get back to business. 45 minutes into it, my kids are still on the sidelines hugging and kissing on their mamas and their grandmas. It's like 3 minutes to kickoff. I said, we got to go. He gets freaking beat by South Rowan at home. But, yeah, awful loss to the South Rowan Raiders. Awful.
On that note,
awful loss.
It is now that time to slide with your favorite host. He's back. Thank goodness. Not me.
You know what time it is? It's been a while. Maybe you've forgotten what time it is, but it's time for us to get something off of our chest, something that's bothering us, something that's gotten underneath our skin this week. And, because I know he's got a lot of plans for the next couple of days. We'll go straight to my dude, Big Eyes Shelby. Who you sliming on this week, man?
Man, I'm going to slide the Carolina Panthers front office organization, man. They have been doing a terrible job at just keeping talent here in the Carolinas, man. I seen a Twitter post about how many people they have traded, cut, or retired or has retired in like the last 4 or 5 years. And there's so many big names that's at other teams now playing and competing for championships, man. And it just sucks, man. Like front office, man, you're failing the fans of the Carolinas, man, because you can't keep nobody here, man. You're not wanting to keep nobody here. You let them go, and then those guys, like everybody that leaves Carolina goes and has success somewhere else. So, man, the front office, man, you got to do better, man. You starts with you putting a good product on the field because you got to be able to draft and keep and re-sign players.
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Coach Dub, who are you sliming on this week?
I ain't want to do it, but I'm going to do it. I'm kind of adding to what we did last week because that was actually my slime, or the week before last. I want to slime these adults out here that's around high school sports, especially these experts. And I know we got a lot of men and women out here that means well. And just because you have a relationship with a player doesn't mean that you can give them advice at things that you don't know what you're talking about. There's too many kids out here getting bad advice from adults, no matter if that's transferring schools, decommitting from schools, committing to this school. Sometimes if you don't know, it's okay to tell kids, you know what? I don't know. I don't understand that. Maybe you need to talk with someone that knows what they're doing or know about that. Now, these days, we got the jack of all trade, master of nothing mentalities, and it's trickled down to the adults. It's impossible to know everything about everything. And when you're sitting here giving kids advice, make sure you understand that you're dealing with their livelihoods. Some of the decisions that you guys are pushing these kids to make are changing the whole dynamics of their recruiting. Number one, we got kids leaving left and right, transferring to this school or that school. High school coaches, college coaches are paying attention to that stuff. College coaches are looking. They got something called a transfer portal, if y'all haven't noticed, that they know if you're doing that in high school, you're going to do it in college. So sometimes just teach the kids how to battle through adversity. Also, some of these guys and adults is out here giving these kids advice. Make sure it's not in the best interest of yourself. Some of these people are out here telling you to transfer to this school or that school because they're trying to get on the coaching staff. And that's just the reality of it. So make sure that you're an expert at what you're advising these kids on. And last thing, if you do badly advise kids, make sure you go back to those families and tell them, apologize to them. You got a lot of guys that talk kids into bad positions and never come back and help those kids. And I know I said lastly to our parents, make sure if you're listening to someone, make sure they can pay for your kids' tuition if it's bad advice.
%100 on every line that you just spoke, Coach Stubb. A lot of bad advice givers out there, unfortunately, and people fall for it. Producer, who are you sliming on this week?
I've been giving it some thought and pondering, but when in doubt, lately, the Panthers are just always there for slime availability. So I'm going to, I said before, I keep saying I'm not going to keep going back to them, but I have to this time because the last loss was to the Cowboys. And anyone who knows, a loss to the Cowboys is worse than a normal loss. It's definitely worse. It's emphatically worse than a typical loss. Like a Cowboy loss is almost like 2. It's almost like an ultra loss or something like that. So the fact that you were, pulled it with a close game with the Cowboys and then just fell apart. Bryce Young, unfortunately, with his lack of time, has, turned into a pick six machine, unfortunately. So I got to slam him again, man, just because it was a loss to the Cowboys. That's worse than a normal loss for me anyway.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. Cowboy Joe was happy on Sunday, but I don't even know if he could get up for beating the Panthers. That's how bad it is. Pet Man, who you sliming on tonight?
Look behind me and see the score. I'm sliming an in-game slime for the Charlotte Hornets. We just beat the Celtics in overtime on Monday night, and they're down by 4 in the fourth quarter to the Washington Wizards. This is more Charlotte Hornets bleep. Every time, man. We just can't have prosperity in this city and win 2 games in a row. Look at that turnover and then a 3-pointer. What the heck? Charlotte Hornets get the slime, man. And I'm a season ticket holder. Ridiculous.
Pep, one of those Twitter sites, I don't know, websites, somebody put out a graph today. There are 124 professional sports franchises. When you talk NFL, NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, 124 of them. Of the 124 professional franchises, if we were to rank the teams with the worst winning percentage since 2019, any idea where the Carolina Panthers would fall? 124. We got the Hornets in there. We've got the Wizards in there. Got the Detroit Lions in there. The Carolina Panthers have the worst winning percentage in all of professional sports since David Tepper bought them. He bought them in May of 2018. From the season of 2019 on, the Carolina Panthers have won 30% of their games. To put that into perspective, the Kansas City Chiefs have won 77% of their games. Our Carolina Panthers, 30%. David Tepper, you have completely ruined this program. You have killed our culture, whether it's getting rid of Christian McCaffrey, whether it's getting rid of DJ, whether it's getting rid of Stephon Gilmore, whether it's getting rid of other players who have gone on, as Webb just talked about, and become superstars and competing for championships on their next team. David Tepper, not only have you destroyed this team, but you have completely demoralized an entire fan base of people. I don't even want to watch the Panthers anymore. My little boys came up to me just a few weeks ago, and sweet little Knox, he said, "Dad, is it okay if I choose a different team to root for? I don't think I can handle pulling for the Panthers anymore." And all I can say to my 10-year-old is, you know what, boy, if you change teams now, it will save you a lifetime of misery and heartache. Go for it, dude. He has not watched a Carolina Panthers game in over a month. He won't. Mr. Tepper, you suck. That's all I got, Pep.
Hey, nephew smart, Kenny. Nephew smart.
Great way to end the show. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.